Hi guys, welcome to Extra Talk. Today we have two Sporting fans to talk about Sporting Ajax in the Champions League. We want to know a couple of things about the Portuguese team. So what's better than just having two fans from Portugal talking about their beloved club? We have two Joaos today, so we will also say their last name, João Blanco.
Hello, thanks for the invite.
Thank you for being on the channel, and João Ruivo.
Hello, thanks a lot for the invite as well.
Thank you, guys. So, guys, before we start talking about Sporting, what we always do, I don't know if you guys already watched previous episodes. We also talk to Dortmund fans and Besiktas fans. We always ask them how you guys become fan of the club. So my question would be to João Blanco first. How did you become a fan of Sporting?
So my family is all a huge fan of Sporting, so they taught me that way to love the club. And living near the Alvalade Stadium, our stadium, also helped just a little. And then when I started gaining some conscience about what Sporting really meant, about the philosophy of the club, I started to love the club even more. All the brotherhood and the courage that the most Sporting fans have, it's something that it's really beautiful to me, because we spent like 20 years without winning the championship title here, and still we fulfill the stadium also to the maximum capacity every game, and that's something beautiful.
Perfect. João Ruivo, what about you?
For me, it's a little bit similar. So my father is a Sporting fan, my grandfather as well. The rest of my family, not so much, but because my father was the first one to take me to the stadium, he introduced me to football, he got me into playing football. So he always tried to get me to be a Sporting fan. And then the same as João, as I grew up, the love for the club grew on me. I started to watch other sports games from Sporting, handball, futsal, all of that. And really today it's something I cannot live with. So I think it's pretty much the same story.
So just for my understanding and also for the viewers, how many years are you guys fan now of the club?
23, that's my age, I think, since I was born.
Since you were born.
Yeah.
Yes, me the same. Me the same. Since I was born.
All right. So guys, I wanted to ask you as well, before we start talking about Sporting, about Ajax, right? Because it's an Ajax channel. And I'm always curious and interested to know what you guys know about Ajax. I mean, if you think about Ajax, what do you think about? João or Ruivo, you can go first.
Oh man, I love Ajax as a club. I've always loved Ajax. I am a big fan of the game in general, and I'm obviously a fan of players that Ajax has had and that has now. But really the thing that impresses me the most is the club's philosophy and the way the academy in general, because, it's a little bit of a similarity between Ajax and Sporting in that regard. But I've always been really, really passionate about the way you guys see the game, the way you guys play it. And also being an analyst for a few time, I looked a lot into the training methodology and all of that, and I am a really big fan of the club.
João Blanco, what about you?
So maybe this question is a little bit unfair between me and João Ruivo, because I recently visited the Ajax stadium. I went to the Netherlands in the last couple of weeks. So I know a little bit more about the history of Ajax now, but I always knew that it is the biggest club in the Netherlands. I know that one of my idols in football played and coached there. I'm talking obviously about Johan Cruyff and his philosophy of the game. And I also know that, as João Ruivo was saying, that you value the youth academy very much and bring out talents such as De Jong, De Ligt, Van de Beek, among others. And that's something really good for the game in general, for the European football, and of course to the Dutch national team as well.
Absolutely. And you guys make a very good point. And that's what's actually what I wanted to go to as well. So thank you for that bridge. So we have a couple of similarities, right? I was looking into Sporting. Of course, I already knew it a little bit, but I was looking a little bit more prior to this talk. And you guys are also very well known worldwide for your academy. I mean, obviously Cristiano Ronaldo, but also João Moutinho. Oh, João, so the same name. Luis Figo, of course. I mean, so many players that came from your academy. Is this what Sporting, I mean, from outside, if you talk to people from outside Portugal and you tell them you're a Sporting fan, do you also get that feedback of other football fans like, oh, you guys have a good academy? Is that what people think about?
I don't know. Maybe it depends. I think if it's European people, perhaps that's what they'll think about. But maybe if you go to the US or something like that, I don't know if they'll be aware of that kind of thing. I don't know if João has another opinion, but I think that's my opinion on it.
No, of course, in Europe they will know Sporting a little bit better. But the first thing I ever heard, like I was in another country, in a foreign country, and I said, "Oh, I'm a Sporting fan." The general reaction of the people is, "Oh, Cristiano Ronaldo." It's always like this.
Yeah.
That is the only thing they know about Sporting.
Oh, I've always got already got some reactions about Sporting from our fans. The chants and really the ambience we create in the stadium.
Yes.
Also got some reactions on that, positive ones. So there's that as well.
Okay, perfect. So look, we're going to talk about Sporting right now. Very interesting what happened to Sporting last season. I always try to look at what happened and how you guys became champions, because it was obvious you guys were from pot one. So you guys were champions, of course. So I was looking into it. And first of all, I think it started with the coach, if I'm not mistaken. His name is also not very easy, Amorim.
Yeah, that's it.
Yes.
So he came from, you guys got him in the season prior to last season from Braga, correct?
Correct.
Yes.
Okay. And then when you guys got him, I saw some reactions from Sporting fans. I was also looking on Google and stuff. And there were people honestly saying, okay, when we got Amorim, everybody was thinking, okay, we will fight for the third place next season, with Braga maybe, and we will be behind Porto and Benfica. But then you guys started that season. You guys were one game away of being invincible. So how did you guys accomplish that last season? What did the coach bring to this team? What went so different than 19 years, have passed, as Blanco said, since you guys became champions? So how did you guys achieve that last season? Who can tell me? Who can start?
I can start. So for me, I think the most incredible thing he was able to achieve was the way first of all, he started to take advantage of one of our strongest points, which is our academy. Well, that's number one. A bit of necessity, but a bit of his intelligence as well, because we didn't have much money, so we needed good players. So, and in parallel to that, he achieved the other big thing, which I think is he was able to really get a grip on the team and motivate all the players. And just recently he said something which kind of reflects that trait of him, which is he said he only wanted, and this is a bit controversial between the fans, he only wanted 2 players for each position, because he wanted each one of the players to believe he could be a starter in any game. So this is, I don't know if you get what I'm trying to say, but he got all the players believing they were important and they could be a starter, and they were a big part of the team. And even players who got very few minutes throughout the season, every time they went on a pitch, they gave their all. And yeah, I think that, and also some tactical changes which are not to be ignored, but that I think it's the most difficult thing he did, and one of the most important ones as well.
Yes. João Blanco, do you want to add to that?
Yes, because okay, like he was received with massive criticism by the Sporting fans, because he came to our club for 10 million euros, and then we didn't pay in time. So then it turned into 14 million euros. And then, of course, the fans start, oh, we're broke, but then we're paying 14 million euros for a coach. And he became like the third most, like the third highest fee paid for a coach or something like that.
Can I ask something about that? Is it usual?
Yes,
because I've seen that this is something becoming a little bit a trend in international football as well, because it happened this season also, or a couple of months ago in Germany as well, that you pay for the coach. Usually you don't see that a lot, like players, but is it normal in Portuguese football, or is this also a new trend coming up?
I think it's a new trend because it also because like the president of Braga, Antonio Salvador, does not like us very much, and like that could be a part of the deal here. And okay, so moving on, I think with Ruben Amorim, the most beautiful thing about this transfer is the communication. Because his mentality and his way of bonding the group were factors that I have never seen in any sporting team. Like a few years back, we went to Benfica and recruited Jorge Jesus, their coach at the time, and then he's back again, and he stayed with us for 3 seasons, and we won like a Leagues Cup and the Super Cup. Nothing. And we played really good football on the first season, but still we didn't win the championship for another factors. It means nothing here. But back to talking about Ruben Amorim, of course, he also knows very much about the tactical side of the game, but his mentality of what we say here is jogo a jogo, like we only think about the next game. We don't think about the objective in general. We don't think about titles. We think about winning the next game. I think this was very good for take the pressure off the kids, like Gonçalo Inácio, Nuno Mendes, Tiago Tomás, the many kids he was bringing up to the first team. And I think that was massive from him.
Yeah. So look, we're talking about the coach, obviously. I want to deep dive a little bit about him, because I also read that, first of all, he's very young. He's a very young coach. Second of all, he doesn't have a lot of experience. So this makes it even more incredible what he's achieved. And third of all, I heard he didn't have his license, which was also a problem. Who can tell us a little bit more about that?
Yeah, you can go.
Okay.
So was coaching without a license, basically, correct?
Yes. No. Basically, there are like 4 degrees of coach license here in Portugal. I don't know how it works in other countries.
It's the same. It's the same.
It's the same. Okay, like there are 4 degrees. When he came to Sporting at 2, then after that little bit of the first season, the last part of the season, when he came, he completed the 3rd, but he stayed like the whole season where he was champion with just the 3rd. Just in this summer, he completed the 4th or something like that. He stayed most of the season just with 3, and basically, our education system in football here, it's not like the best. Like most people can learn more about analyzing and like with online courses from like Barca Innovation Hub, that is an incredible football online school, than with our football courses, because like the 2 main coaches we study in our degrees are José Peseiro and Carlos Queiroz. I don't think you know them. Like, we don't study Mourinho, we don't study André Villas-Boas, we study José Peseiro and Carlos Queiroz. Okay, they were in Real Madrid in like 2004, 2005, but they're not the best. Basically, that's it. And this is just an example. Like, it's not necessary to have these degrees for being one of the best, basically. And Ruben Amorim is one of the best.
Yeah, I wanted to ask you something, because here in Holland, of course, you also have you have to take course, you have to get your license to become a coach legally. But players that have played for the national team and have so many caps, they get like exemption. Of course, they still have to finish it, but they get like an exemption. They can start or very high. Do you guys have that system as well in Portugal?
Yeah, we do. That's one of the main issues as well with the courses, because that's not an issue, but the requirements and when you're a candidate, the higher you've played in terms of professional football, the easier it is for you to get into the courses. But you know, a lot of coaches that are nowadays big coaches. I'm taking the example of Julian Nagelsmann and a few others. They have proven that even those who are not very successful players, and maybe even those that aren't players at all, they can be very good coaches.
Yeah.
They just need proper education and proper motivation. So that's one of the biggest critics that is made to the system. It has been talked about by Ruben as well, and that and the way they don't really make it easy on coaches to finish the levels in time. So it is not an isolated case. Many other Portuguese coaches have coached first division teams without the fourth level. Just, I don't know, maybe because he was being so successful and Sporting were being so successful, they tried to make a big deal out of it, but it was never a big deal because it had happened before as well.
Okay, so it was more like a little bit hyped by the media, because I read that he was put
Totally.
like he committed fraud. You know, that's what I read.
Nah,
No.
that's not true. That's not true, really.
Okay, all right.
He was
sorry.
He was as a assistant coach just because of that formality. So he could not get up the bench. He needed to stay in the bench, which didn't make much sense. But yeah,
with a mask on too, like with the COVID, he couldn't like take off the mask.
All right. So look, we're talking about Sporting and the coach. So apart from the fact that the coach has brought, you know, like a good motivation into the team, getting everybody involved, you guys also touched a little bit on the tactics. I want to also talk about the tactics. What can you guys tell us about how he plays? I've seen a couple of things, and it seems like he plays like a 5-5-2-3, 5-3-2 kind of
depends.
Formation.
Yeah, it depends. When we're defending, we'll defend with a line of 5. Yeah, but in attack, we'll play 3-4-3 basically. I think it has been a huge change and a really, really good one. I am a personal fan of that formation. Was even before he started using it. If I was to describe, you know, in a quick way, the tactics, I think Sporting like to have the ball. They'll play out from the back. They'll use the 3 center backs to play out from the back. They like to attract pressure so that they can exploit spaces further up in the pitch. We have quick players, and both on the wings as well as on the inside forwards, and as well as players who are capable of combining in 1-2 situations and all of that. So really, I think he achieved a team which is good attacking depth, you know, making runs forward, as well as good in having the ball. But the thing that probably won us the championship, we were good attacking, but it came to a certain phase of the season where teams started to adapt to our playing style. So it became increasingly harder for us to find spaces and create opportunities. So what really saved us was the way our defensive line worked, and it was really, really good. You know, controlling offsides, applying pressure, all of that. It was really, I think he really worked with them on that, because I've never seen a backline of Sporting that good. So many offsides from the other teams. And basically, I think that sums it up. Yep. 5 defenders when we're defending, and then 3 when we're attacking. And yeah, I think that's it.
A couple of additional questions, João Blanco, just for you. Do you guys play, because it seems like you use a lot of the wing backs in this formation? Is that true? And second of all, does it mean you play more from the sides, or do you also play a little bit center? And I also saw that you guys apply a pressing game as well. You press pretty heavily on the defensive side of the opposition, try to make them make a mistake when they have the ball.
Yes, we use a lot our wing backs, and last season were Nuno Mendes and Porro, and unfortunately Nuno Mendes went to PSG in the last day of this transfer market. Yes. But yes, we use the wing backs a lot, but we also play a lot from the center, and like our our two midfielders kind of complete each other. Like Palhinha is a physical beast and wins almost every duel in a game, and Mateus Nunes approaches the attack very easily. He's basically a box-to-box midfielder, and he easily does it. It's very good. I think we easily can play from the sides, from the center, in the midfield. In the attack, we play more from the sides because our striker Paulinho, he is like in the round of not scoring goals. In just it helps constructing the plays, but he does not score many goals right now. He's not scoring. The goals go to Pote or Pedro Gonçalves, to Giovanni, Nuno Santos, and now with Sarabia, we hope he scores a lot of goals too.
Yeah, so Sarabia is actually the one that came in, and as you said, Nuno Mendes went to Paris, right?
Yes.
Yeah.
All right. And listen, so we're talking about players. You mentioned a couple of players. What are the key players of this Sporting Portugal? I mean, of course, you will say all the players are good, but which players are the key ones?
It's very funny because if you search the Sporting team in like 2019, you will cry your eyes out. It's horrible. It's truly horrible. It's like you will not know any of the players, and thank God you don't know. But in this team, like everybody plays. I don't say that everybody plays exceptionally well, but the minimum. Everybody plays the minimum to be in a team like Sporting, and that's very good. But the key players, I would say Adan, the goalkeeper, is very good. I would say like we had a goalkeeper here for many years. He was Rui Patricio, that is now in Roma. I would say that Adan is even more complete than Rui Patricio because Rui Patricio could not like make a long pass without the ball going to outside the field, but he had such good reflexes. But Adan, I think it has it all. Then the centre back and our captain Coates, in the midfield Palhinha, and in attack Pedro Gonçalves. I think those are like the highlights of our team.
Yeah,
I would just add Pedro Porro, which I think our backup right wing back is a good player. He was a former player from our academy, but it's very different from Porro. Porro was originally a winger when he was younger, and now he's a wing back. But yeah, I think the difference he makes, he is able to always get our play forward. So when he receives the ball, his body shape is always to go forward, and he's good on one-on-one situations. So when we have our wing backs always very, very, very wide, and we change the plate from one side to the other, he's able to really go on that one-on-one and create troubles for the opposition defense. And he got us goals as well as assists like that last season. He has a hell of a right foot shooting from range. So I think he's a very big player for us as well.
All right, great. Listen, I was wondering, right? You guys are talking about Sporting and all the good players and champions after 19 years. I don't know, so forgive me. I don't know much of the history of Sporting, so don't crucify me for asking this question. Is this one of the best Sportings in history last season?
It's a hard question.
Yeah, that's a hard question because we've had our highs which were really, really high in Europe, but domestically mostly. There was a time that we dominated for some years. We had a famous team that had 5 violins, 5 violins, and in that time we really dominated. But in my personal experience of the club, which is all the teams that I remember seeing, I think this is the best one I've seen. I think I don't have any doubts. But in the whole history, it's hard to say because I know there were other great teams and that achieved bigger things than this one, but it's always that feeling that I haven't really saw them play, so it's hard for me to answer. But I think, I don't know, it's up there.
Yes, it is. This team is one of the best, of course, but I don't think it is the best because I've not seen like every Sporting team from every year, but I think it is one of the most epic. Like the last title, I think it is one of the most epic titles in like the history of football because of all the factors that involves our team, and it's something that explaining seems kind of hard, but for who lived this, it was something amazing. But yes, we had that time in the 50s that João Ruivo was talking about with the five violins, Parteu, Alban, and many other good players. Parteu is still today one of the best goal scorers in the history of football. I think he scored like 600 goals. I don't recall.
A crazy number like that. I don't remember.
It's a crazy number. Then we also won our only European Cup in 1964, I guess. The cup of the winners of the domestic cups. It was a competition that existed before the UEFA Europa League, and we won that. That year we won like 5-0 against Manchester United. That was good. And then in the end of the 90s, we also had a good team with Balakov. Then in the early 2000s with Mário Jardel, João Vieira Pinto. These are like many good Sporting players, many good Sporting teams. But I think the five violins probably is the best.
All right, clear. I guess what's missing is also to, like elevate what you guys started last season, also now this season, and continue also in Europe, right? So my question to you guys saw the draw, Dortmund, Ajax, Besiktas. What was your reaction? And what do you guys think you guys can do in this group? You can talk from your heart as a Sporting fan, but you can also talk rationally from, an objective. Whatever you want, I'll leave it up to you.
Okay, so rationally speaking, I think Dortmund are probably the favorites on the group, if I have to pick one. Then I think Sporting and Ajax will be a game that the outcome will be decided by the way the teams approach the game, because I can see ways that Ajax can really hurt Sporting and beat us. And I also can see ways that Sporting can really hurt Ajax. It really depends on how both teams approach the game. And I would say that Besiktas, they're not the weakest team, but if I had to place any team on fourth, I would place them. So then the second and the third, that's really where individually, probably Ajax has some better players than Sporting, but I think that as a team, because we have been working with pretty much the same group for a long period now, we might just have a bit more of a competitive team that is able to possibly outshine that individual talent. From the heart, well, from the heart, I hope we can get some points against Ajax and Dortmund and get that second place. And if Amorim wants to pull out another miracle, then we get first place. But I would really love second place and going through to the next stage.
Clear. One question, Blanco, for you, João Blanco. The team from last year, so you guys also had a transfer window. Is that pretty much the same team, apart from, what you mentioned, Nuno Mendes going to Paris? You guys kept a little bit the same team, or you guys lost a couple of players?
It's basically the same team, but without Nuno Mendes and without a player that I don't want to speak about because he went to Benfica, and that really hurts. So basically, yes, but it's basically the same team. Like the highlights are still there, but about.
Yeah, you guys have injuries at the moment? I wanted to ask you this as well. Do you guys have any players that are injured, or everybody is like fit and ready to go?
There are a few that are injured, but are minor injuries. Pedro Gonçalves is touched. Palhinha was, but Palhinha played today for the national team of Portugal, so I think it is good. Coates is with something in his knee. This injury is the one I'm
captain,
most
right?
scared about.
The one
Yes, he
playing
is the
at the
captain.
back? Okay. Yeah.
Yes, this injury is the one I'm the most scared about, because I think it's a little bit more serious than the Pedro Gonçalves and Palhinha ones.
Yes.
But I think that all will be fit and ready to go. If not against Porto, because we play against Porto on Saturday, and then against Ajax on Wednesday. But I think they will get fit to play against Ajax.
Good. And what do you think of your chances in the group?
I think Sporting has a good chance to make it to the next phase. I think Sporting does not have the obligation to pass the group, but I think it has the obligation to be competitive. Because I don't think, Dortmund are the favorites because they have more history in the European competitions than we do. Because Dortmund, I don't think they're as strong as last season. I see many defensive mistakes from Dortmund this season. But of course, any team that has a striker like Haaland can hurt us anytime.
Yeah, but they have a new coach, right? So they also have to get used to the new coach. But I understand. Yeah.
Yes. About Ajax, for what I know, I think the beginning of the season is not also being the easiest. But Erik ten Hag is for many years in Ajax, and I think he knows what he does. And I think you all trust him after that successful campaign in the Champions League in 18-19. But I think Sporting can compete with them. About Besiktas, or as you say, Besiktas, I think.
Yeah,
no problem. And I think they're not candidates to pass the group, but this is a group very balanced. I think any team can pass the group, and any team can be disqualified even from the Europa League. So we should be careful for surprises, because Besiktas has two or just one. I think just one player that was from Sporting, Rosier, and we know that ex-players from Sporting love to score against us and love to play well against us. It's incredible.